Hey friends, welcome. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for stopping in. I am Lorenda, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and while we are crafting, we are going to continue along with our talk therapy. So, for today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. And we're going to talk about intuition, what it really is, what your brain is doing, and why you should trust it. So, intuition, I am talking about the real neurobiology behind it. So, why do we get that feeling? Why our body reacts before our brain understands? Why are some people deeply intuitive? And why is your gut often right, especially during times like when you're stressed, during change, times of healing? And interestingly, your intuition is measurable in the brain. So, intuition is not a mystery. It's basically your brain recognizing patterns faster than your conscious mind is able to process them. So, from a clinical perspective, intuition is rapid pattern recognition, it's stored emotional memory, it's sensory cues that your brain is responding to, and it's past experiences kind of guiding the present. Your nervous system notices something before your mind has a chance to name it. So, your intuition is like your brain saying, I've seen something like this before, or it recognizes the energy in the room, or this environment feels safe or unsafe, or even maybe like this person reminds me of someone, or this situation matches a particular pattern I've learned. And the thing that is so cool is that this happens in just milliseconds. So your intuition is your nervous system whispering the truth before your logical brain has a chance to step in. So let's talk about the science a little bit, because intuition is definitely not magic. It's your brain, your body, and your nervous system talking to each other faster than your brain can think. So the amygdala, which we've talked about probably every video, it recognizes danger before the cortex has a chance to understand it. And if you remember, the amygdala is your brain's smoke detector. It's that early warning system. And the amygdala responds to the tone of voice, it responds to facial expressions and body language. It responds to things like proximity or the tension in a room, and it also responds to very subtle emotional cues. And the amygdala processes information very fast, and it will get this probably about 80 milliseconds before the rational brain does. And that's where you get that feeling of that moment of something feels off. That's that neurobiology taking hold. And so there's also something called the insula. And the insula, it's your internal dashboard, and it reads the body's internal signals. So it's monitoring things like your heart rate, your stomach tension, muscle tightness, if you have shifts in breathing, if there's changes in temperature. When something feels wrong, it often shows up in the body first. So when you have things like butterflies, a tight chest, a stomach drop, nausea, goosebumps, things like that, that's your interoception signaling an intuitive response. And then there is the hippocampus. So your hippocampus is your memory center. And the hippocampus uses emotional memory to guide decisions. So this memory center, it stores things like relational patterns, trauma imprints, emotional experiences, safety and danger cues, and then also things like familial versus unfamiliar dynamics. So, say for instance, you walk into a room and you instantly like sense the tension. It's that, the tension is so high in the air, you can cut it with a knife, right? So your hippocampus has already matched this energy, this feeling, to a stored memory. And your intuition is basically your past speaking to your present. And then there's something called mirror neurons, and these pick up the emotional state of others. So with mirror neurons, your brain is constantly reading energy, mood, intention. These mirror neurons are the thing that's able to pick up on micro expressions. And so your mirror neurons allow you to feel the room. Even if no one is saying anything, you can just feel it. And intuitive people are shown to have a very high mirror neuron activity, and they can sense emotional shifts very quickly. And there's also something which is the gut brain connection with 500 million neurons. So your enteric nervous system, so that's that nervous system in your gut, it's also known as the second brain. So this enteric nervous system sends tons of signals to the brain, and your gut actually sends more signals to your brain than your brain sends down to the gut. So when you hear that term like my gut instinct, it's not metaphorical, it's an actual biological process that's happening. So when something feels wrong in your stomach, your gut is sensing stress hormones before your brain has a chance to form a thought. And then there's something else. We talked about this yesterday, and this is called the default mode network. So this network is responsible for things like internal stillness, your creativity, your pattern recognition, intuitive leaps. And this is where you get that I just know this feels right kind of thought. So when you're calm, when you're safe, and when you're regulated, this default mode network, it becomes much clearer, it becomes stronger, and it starts to become much more accurate. And this is one of the reasons why when you slow down, your intuition improves. So there is research that as really a lot of research that has gone into intuition, and research has shown that there are like 5 different scenarios where intuition becomes stronger in people. So the first one is people who are highly empathic. So empaths, like myself, and probably many of you who are listening, we read emotional things very rapid. So we're very accurate when it comes to reading emotion. And also people who have been caregivers. So nurses, parents, grandparents, etc., etc. You tend to develop this rapid danger recognition system. And also people who have lived through trauma. So the nervous system becomes very sensitive to emotional shifts in people who have lived through trauma. And also people who spend time in the quiet or in creativity, crafting, painting, walking, cooking, writing, all of these things, they all strengthen the intuitive brain. And then also people who have strong interoception, so people who like feel things in their body, they tend to have sharper intuition. So also there are times when your intuition is most accurate. So your intuition tends to work best when the body is calm and it's not in that fight or flight moment, because when you're in fight or flight, you're not, remember, you're not getting that blood flow to the cerebral cortex, the prefrontal cortex, so you're not thinking clearly, right? So when you're calm and you're not in that fight or flight mode and you're grounded, your intuition tends to be more accurate. And then, also when you're paying attention to those internal cues, you have to be at a place where you're able to not gaslight your own feelings, because we do it to ourselves all the time. We gaslight our own feelings. We tell ourselves, "Oh, that's not really what we're feeling. That's not really what's going on," when our gut is there saying, "Hey, hey, hello. Yes, this is what's happening." And you also tend to have better intuition when you've had a past experience in similar situations. So that's a hippocampus, putting things into your memory loop and pulling it out to help feed that intuition when you're in a similar situation. Ooh, I've felt this before. I've been here before. I've been in this situation before. I felt this feeling before. So, honestly, the more emotionally regulated you are, the clearer your intuition becomes. But on that same note, sometimes your intuition can get a little muddy, because anxiety and intuition can sometimes feel very similar. They are not at all the same, but sometimes they can feel similar. Intuition is calm and clarity. Anxiety is fear-based and urgency. Intuition feels neutral. it feels steady. Where anxiety feels loud and intuition is also specific. Where anxiety tends to be generalized. And intuition is grounded in pattern recognition, and anxiety is grounded in perceived threat. So the difference between your amygdala and your rational prefrontal cortex. So what it really comes down to is a regulated body gives accurate intuition, and a dysregulated body throws off false alarms. So how do you strengthen your intuition? So there are some science-backed ways that allow you to sharpen your intuition. So first of all, you want to slow your nervous system. So things that we've already talked about, things that reduce the amygdala activity, make intuition clearer. So things we've talked about, breathing, walking, grounding, all of those things that we've talked about in past videos to relax our nervous system, all of these things help to increase your intuition. And paying attention to your body. So ask yourself, what sensation am I feeling right now? And your body speaks before your brain. Notice micro moments of discomfort. So if someone makes your shoulders tense, that's data. That's data that's going to be stored into that hippocampus to come out later as intuition. And you want to practice reflective awareness. So remember, the hippocampus stores all of this data, right? So you want to train the hippocampus to remember certain things. So after situations, ask yourself, what did I notice? What was my first feeling? Was my instinct correct? And by doing this, you train your hippocampus to pick up on all of these little patterns. And again, quieting the mind, quieting things around you, right? You want to reduce overstimulation. And when you quiet things, it enhances the insula's sensitivity. And also, very important, trust your first read. So your brain is collecting information fast. It collects 11 million pieces of data per second, but your conscious mind only processes 40. So your first read is usually the truth. That's where, they say, don't go back and change answers on tests, right? Your first read is generally the truth. And another place that intuition is very involved, however, people are more likely to ignore their intuition. We've all seen like the videos about ignoring red flags. We've all talked about the red flags we've ignored. Well, people ignore their intuition the absolute most in relationships. The brain is quick, so your brain will pick up on tone changes. It'll pick up on emotional distance, inconsistency, hidden anger, threat cues. Your brain picks up when you're being manipulated, and it picks up on safety changes long before the conscious mind joins in. So your intuition is sending out those signals that red flag, but most of the time we ignore them. And then we come back later and we say, I knew something felt off. Well, of course you did, because your intuition told you so. Your intuition saw it, but your brain hadn't yet formed the words for it, and you ignored it. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for survival cues. And this is why intuitive people feel danger before it arrives, because the brain has evolved all of this to keep you alive, right? You sense when someone is lying. You like feel the bad vibes. You just know when something is wrong. You get that instant feeling about new environments. And again, the nervous system scanning for survival cues. It's what it does. Intuition is a biological superpower. It's built into your brain and your body to help you navigate the world safely. So when you slow down and you listen to yourself and you let your nervous system speak, your intuition becomes one of the strongest tools you have. So you have to be able to trust the voice inside you. Remember, it's been protecting you your entire life. So trust your intuition. It knows what it knows. Well, listen, friends, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for being here with me. And if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button. I'd absolutely love to have you as a YouTube friend. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.